Hey guys, George Mesa, Third Eye Edify podcast. And it has been a while. I've been doing some pretty extensive research and a lot of reading and rereading about Wagner, my next topic in the music mini series. There's something about Germany. But since it's going to take just a little bit longer before that's ready, and as I choose my words carefully about how I discuss the very, very difficult to present topic, I thought I would throw in something else that I came across with my music studies. It's not necessarily music, but it really does relate to most of what we learn as Western music theory. That's the church. But this topic is potentially a little more black and white than some of the ones I presented recently. It has to do with the Virgin Mary, and it has to do with this, let's just call it a trend of transgender, particularly men wanting to be women. So, when I was studying the Renaissance period in particular, there was the discussion of unrequited love. And it was very specifically, and it was reflected in a lot of music. There was secular and sacred music that was reflecting this. There was the unrequited love from the Virgin Mary that a man would want or desire. The Virgin Mary, which can also be labeled as Madonna, not this Madonna, of course. I don't know how we ever got to that point. I'm talking about this, the Virgin Mary, who was very often seen inside of a vesica Pisces, which of course is a yoni or a vagina. So she is clearly the essence of birth, life, female, divine feminine. And here are a number of different goddesses throughout the world seen inside of vesica Pisces, but some of these look like gods, but perhaps there's a lot more to that story, and we'll save that for another time. The main point of this topic is pretty simple, but it's also profound, and I haven't heard it being mentioned during all of this. Oh, I'm against everything these people are about. I may be against the idea as well, but that's not the point either. Think about this. The love you will never get from the Virgin Mary, the unrequited love, this almost unnecessary obsession. And by the way, it's called Mariology when you study the Virgin Mary. I did not know that. There is this idea that the Virgin Mary was also born without the dirt of original sin from Adam and Eve. And I see there's a debate about whether or not that takes away from the birth of Jesus Christ as being the only one born of this way. But that's besides the point. When a man wants the love of the Virgin Mary, to use a more modern term, he wants to be inside the Virgin Mary. It's a very typical theme throughout a lot of history. Yeah, I've heard this term penis envy. There seems to be this woman envy from men throughout the centuries, to the point where they use women for whatever they want and treat them poorly. And then in that joking kind of way you'll see in some movies where it's like, oh, I just love you and I didn't know what else I could possibly do. Think about this now. What does a transgender man want? They want to be inside the body of a woman. There is no difference, in my mind, there's no difference culturally speaking from this concept. It's the same as it always was. It's been carried over. But in this very atheist type of, new agey Neil deGrasse Tyson, Pluto doesn't exist, we're just nothing in the middle of space. How could there be a God, right? So it's not really going to work nowadays if you try to put it into those terms. It's been put into a different term. It's been given a new identity. New bottles, old wine. And I don't see it as being any different. And I also think it's a really, really big part, other than some other very nasty things that I don't want to talk about. It seems to be a really big part of what might actually be subconsciously pushing this trend. This kind of strange desire is carried over for generations, even when it's not spoken about. There are only two genders. Whether immaculate conception can happen or not is a whole nother story. And some interesting information came my way recently about it that I don't have enough information to discuss it yet in detail, but we'll save that one to pique your interest for the future. But I really do want everyone that is listening and watching this to think about this. Because I had been asked about it from a very good friend of mine who's been on the show before, Spiro Jin. Shout out to you. He asked me, how is this happening? Why is this such a big thing? Is it a big thing? I don't want to get into that yet. But it's big enough. It could be stemming from this. This is almost the result of a generational trauma. It's not saving anyone from this. It's not giving anyone a get out of jail free card here. There's nothing good about it. It's an unfortunate side effect of the way that the culture is going, especially if you stick to social media and don't get out very often and don't interact in public. Things like COVID can help push that, by the way. So I do believe that it's a combination of all the things I mentioned, plus COVID. We're still post-COVID. All of these things are post-COVID, and we can't not use that as some piece of the puzzle. It's definitely a piece of the puzzle. It's still confusing. It's still frustrating. And there's still lots of people that think it basically never happened or wasn't what they said it was, and so on. But I do truly believe that at the time when I had heard about this concept, because I was very unfamiliar with this concept when I heard about it, this unrequited love, this desire to have something you'll never have, which is fine in like a high school, almost high school sweetheart kind of way, like, oh, the girl that got away, I always liked her. This is not that. This is not very innocent, as a matter of fact. This almost hits on a level of jealousy, which in turn results in some kind of strange frustration that never should have been in the first place. And again, I completely relate this to the transgender topic. I could probably talk about this for another hour, but I'd rather this just be, as the title shows, another one of my heart-to-hearts. It's something that I just had to press record for. It's been bothering me since I left my friend that message about it. Since Spiro asked me, I've just been thinking about it so much. And I really do see a direct correlation here. And this is what happens. This is the idea of the sequel, or the reimagining of sorts, so to speak. When they release a live-action Lion King decades later, why bother, right? They need to keep the same stories and the same concepts in the public consciousness for them to be able to do whatever it is they're looking to do. And this is not going to be an episode where I go into detail about that, but there's no difference here. Again, same wine, new bottles for old wine. It's the same wine. It has to look different. There's too much exposure to the world now with the internet. You can't use the same tricks. I heard somebody recently say it's not going to be another Cold War. It's probably not. You're right. That's not going to work this time, but it's going to be the same exact thing. It's going to be dressed differently. And dressing differently is only a small part of what I'm discussing here. This is, again, a very strange desire that shouldn't be, but it's what they need, I guess. They need something like this to thrive, to further destroy the family unit, to further destroy confidence in just appearing in public at all. and to be confused and scared to even say hi to somebody because you're just not sure if they're a weirdo, in quotes. So at least think about the idea. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me if it resonates with you. Tell me if it makes sense, because it's a really multifaceted topic, and it's an unfortunate topic in my opinion. At least with the Renaissance stuff, they were creating art to get it out, I guess, knowing that it would never happen. See, now it is happening. Now what they are desiring, they're just making it happen. And most of them aren't getting the surgeries to, in quotes, do their best to become women. They're just dressing the part and acting the part and doing their best to look like it as much as they can. Sure, some of them do hormone therapy and all this other stuff, which is a nightmare to me, but they're actually able to take action on this and do it. It was understood that it wasn't achievable. That's where the art came from. Now the frustration's gone. Now it can just happen. And public life is much worse off for it, of course. It ruins families, it ruins friendships, everything. Much like COVID. Interesting correlation there. But think about that. It's like when you used to go to the arcade, you put the quarter up and you wait your turn. Now you're playing online, it's always your turn. You don't gain as much. You don't get to have social interactions between your turns and thrive in a human community. All of these things are interrelated in my mind, and I guess that's a big part of how my book reads, World War U. I think that's the whole point. It's all one thing. It's an organism designed to destroy the fabric of what makes humanity good, and that is love. Not unrequited love. Quite different. Thanks for hanging. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you very soon with the Wagner episode. I don't think I've put more time into something or wrestled with what parts of it to say than I have with this topic. It's very deep and revealing of the time period and of several other things, which I will wait until the next time to see. So I will see you then. Thank you so much. Catch you next time.